So welcome to our podcast, and my name is Jeremy Reets. Today we have a very special guest with us, Mark Cornelius. A lot of you probably know Mark because he teaches so many classes and has worked with so many restoration contractors. But he's the owner of Emergency Mitigation Technician Academy, EMTA, you might know it as. Also, you might not know, but he is a board member with the IICRC, so that means that he's got a huge influence on the restoration industry, on standard setting, and also education. So we appreciate you being here with us today, Mark, and we're just going to talk with Mark about Mark and the IICRC. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. It's a pleasure to sit here and talk with you.
Yeah, well,
and the rest of the people too.
I have to admit, I've talked with Mark a little bit about this in advance, and one of the things that stuck out is your schedule. And I think it's important to say to have people understand what kind of dedication you have to education for the restoration industry. So what does a schedule look like for you in a year for schools?
Well, a day in the life of Mark, that's an interesting one. So I'll back the calendar up. So 2 weeks ago I was in Tampa, Florida. And then last week I was in San Francisco. And then now I've been here since Sunday.
Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas at the annual instructors meeting, board of directors meetings, Standards Summit. And then on Saturday I'll jump on an airplane and get to do 14 and a half hours over to Australia. So I'll be there for 29 days. And then I come back, and then it's my hometown. I'll sleep in my own bed for a week. And then from there I'll be heading to Raleigh. And then I can't remember after that, but it'll be another city.
So I think that the question I have, who cuts the grass?
Well, I have a friend of mine who's former in the fire department as well, and he does a great job cutting my grass.
That might be the best part of the whole thing,
right?
But
I love actually cutting grass is therapeutic.
It is. I just had to take down 13 acres of trees at my house and planted all grass. So now I went from seriously about 1,000 square feet of grass to 13 acres and 1,000 square feet.
So Jeremy decided he needed a tractor.
Oh, yeah.
No.
It's the biggest mower I've ever seen.
Right.
It is. I haven't gotten to use it yet, but it's coming. It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. And I went with the air conditioning, the radio.
Dude, does it have a cup holder?
It has multiple cup holders.
Excellent.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll come and borrow it. I've only got 1.2 acres, so I'll be done in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, this thing is awesome.
It'll take longer to start it. So yeah, just busy. Busy as always.
Yeah, very good. Well, background. How did you get into this? So obviously you're now road warrior teaching students all over the country, but where did you start in restoration, and then how did that turn into education?
Well, see, early on, my dad met my mom, and
wait, that's my story.
It is?
Yeah. My dad met my mom, though. It wasn't your mom, so I don't know. We're not brothers.
From another mother. There you go. Actually, I had no design at all to do any of this stuff, and the guy that wound up hiring me when I was 13 to clean carpet actually wanted to hire my brother. He's the one who graduated high school at 14. He mistakenly thought that he would be interested in manual labor. Boy, was he wrong. And so I actually owe this to my brother, the fact that he didn't want the carpet cleaning job. Yeah. So literally at 13, I started cleaning carpet. He'd come and pick me up at night, take me out. And then one thing led to another. He fired me twice. And I was like, okay. And then he tried to rehire me for the third time, and I'm like, no. And then I started working for a company that did apartment complex carpet cleaning. So the very early part of my career was cleaning carpet, which is where I learned a lot of stuff, including one of my sayings in class is that if I was supreme sovereign ruler of the universe for life, that I would make everybody pay commission, because I was paid by commission, and I learned early on that if you do the job wrong, you get to go back and do it tomorrow. And everybody goes, oh, for free. No, it's not for free. It's half of what you got paid yesterday, so it's reverse income or outgo. Yeah. And then got into working for another company after about a year and a half. I literally have about a year and a half where I didn't do anything in this, including working in meat and seafood departments and flipping burgers and all of that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then got back into it, cleaning carpet. And then basically the restoration industry started really being a thing. And the carpet cleaning company I worked for had a construction division, and so it naturally flowed into that. So I worked for that company for 11 years. And once again had a change in my an unplanned change in my life when I decided to resign, like in the 30 seconds, and so started my own restoration company. We have in the Metro Atlanta area, and so here we are.
That's
so
fantastic.
They're almost 40-something years later.
And when did you start teaching classes?
Actually, 16 years ago.
16 years ago.
Yeah. And someone that we both know, Mr. Bruce DeLocia, hounded me for 5 years. Wow. He was like, you need to teach. And finally, I was like, okay. And I co-taught my first class, and I was hooked.
So we have Bruce DeLocia. What's your brother's name?
My brother's name is Roy.
Roy and Bruce. Thanks for
well, and that's a sore spot because I never had a name for about the first 25 years of my life. I was always Roy's brother, so you're not hearing this, Roy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Roy's probably not gotten too many compliments from you through the years.
No, actually, no. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Okay. Yeah. Well, Roy, this is your day, buddy.
Okay, he can listen.
All right. Very good. Now, you've trained a lot of technicians, especially in recent years. I know your school has picked up, and you're out all the time. I mean, there's tons of technicians. So, having done this a long time, what do you think are some of and having a restoration company, let's add to that, best qualities that are, or most important qualities for a great mitigation technician, specifically water damage?
Oh, good Lord, where do you start on that? Wanting a career.
Yeah.
Which I know you asked for positive, but there's just so many people that are not looking for careers, because this is a very unique industry where we have the ability to help people in what they believe perceive to be their worst time. And that could be anything from a mop bucket got kicked over to literally half their house burned off.
Sure.
But you not only get to help people, you can make good money at it. And, if I could do it for 40 years, and I know you've been around for a very long time, I know your story. But very few people get into it to have longevity. Yeah. It's the next job. But in my opinion, one of the best things is having a career mind and understanding you get to help people.
Yeah, and I think as a restoration company, we have an obligation to, if we want to keep people, to give people a career opportunity as well, as opposed to viewing everyone as replaceable.
Or my phrase is cannon fodder.
Yeah, just work them till they drop.
Burn them on both ends and in the middle.
Yeah, true. Well, let's switch topics now to IICRC, because and industry standards there is another part of your life. As a board member of the IICRC, you're helping to shape how this industry moves forward. Tell us a little bit about your role there as a board member. What does that mean?
Well, there's a lot of misconception. Yes, I'm on the board and on the executive committee, but you're one of 15 voices. So, and then we really are only working with what we're given. So the standards committee is really where the work happens. And the board is the one that, we do have some influence, but we really don't try to dictate as to what happens. But it's really, I consider it an honor and a privilege to be able to sit there and look at it and go, the process worked. The guys did a great job. And really just to say, okay, I approve, and go from there. So there is a certain amount of review, but the work's already done when it gets to us.
Yeah, and I think it's important you're allowing the process to happen as opposed to trying to skew those standards to some specific, agenda or something. Is just make sure the process happened correctly.
Well, and here's the thing. I know that I think you're still on the S500, or I can't remember. There's so many committees, but it's really interesting to watch it go from concept all the way to fruition, and to watch the process happen. Because I also sit on a couple of standards as well, and I'm telling you what, I never really understood what standards were until I was involved in the process. And really, probably one of the biggest things about being on the board is you don't understand what goes on. There's a lot of people that, just in my opinion, just have misconceptions. And when you're in it and you're, having to deal with it, you really understand what the IICRC is really about.
Yeah, and I would say in that line, if we look at the restoration industry that we have today, it's been shaped, and it is the industry it is because of the IICRC. A lot of people are new to this industry. Maybe you've only been in the business, in this industry for a few years, or you're new to it, and so you just see what exists. But having seen this industry grow from, you mentioned, there became a restoration industry. I say that's probably around the mid-'90s that you started seeing a restoration industry. That's not very long.
No.
And had that not been there, maybe we would have had an industry that wasn't a good opportunity for businesses to make a good living and for technicians to have a career. But IICRC has helped to shape that. Now, how do you think today businesses can improve their credibility and even their services through the use of IICRC standards or certification, wherever you want to go with that? How is IICRC helping us today?
Well, without becoming my father was a former minister, without sounding like I'm trying to preach, there's so many companies that they claim that they follow the standard. And I find that many times they haven't even read it. Yeah. So the standard can't help them if they haven't even read it. I equate it to you don't know what speed limit is if you ignore the speed limit sign. So the best thing, the standards are there, the words are there, but if you on top of that, if you try to misapply it, I say it, and I'm sure you've seen it many times, hey, how many of you read the S500? How many of you read the S520? And no one raises their hand. And then finally you'll get one guy in the back, he goes, well, I've read a couple of words. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, yeah, well, and I was trying to justify my bill.
Right.
The standards, in my opinion, are not there to justify the bill. The standards are there to help you make right decisions. When you make the right decisions, then the bill gets paid. So I see a lot of people not understanding how standards work, but if you read them and you understand them, they're a guideline to keep you out of trouble.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of companies use it right, and those are the ones who usually get paid more and get paid quickly and have more hair that they don't pull out. So I see a lot of people that are hair challenged in this industry, and I think it's usually from trying to collect the bills. Yeah. But the standards are there if you'll just read them and stop adding your opinion to them.
Well, it's true. We have a tagline for our classes, or what we do as an academy, and it's do the job right, then figure out how to get paid for it. But if you didn't do the job right, you're going to really struggle to bend the standard to meet what you did.
Correct.
So it's got to guide, to your point, what you've done. And if you've done it right, then the standards are there to support you and justify whatever you want to call it.
Correct.
But it's to support why the decision was made. But it never works well the other way around. It's just not going to be your friend.
And I use an analogy, and a mutual good friend of ours, David Hodge, he would understand this. I still maintain my EMT license, and I can promise you right now, Jeremy, I've never on the side of a road with a patient who just was in a car wreck sat there and went, I wonder if I can charge more for a 16-gauge needle or a 14-gauge needle. Oh, 14-gauge needle it is. Well, it turns out it's a pediatric patient.
Yeah.
You can't put a needle that big around, So the right tool rarely ever gets argued about.
Yeah. Doing the right job.
Yeah.
If you do the right job, you make that shift, it's going to pay more.
Absolutely.
It's a simple fact, and which is kind of where I'm going with the next, which is the value of education I think there's always a concern that it's an expense. But if you think like top skill that is going to benefit a technician, we go along a lot of different ways here. But just think about the guy doing water damage. What's a top skill that they can pick up in education that's going to benefit them? That you see we need need out there today is not being done, but education is going to help them.
Learn how to use the equipment.
Okay, very good.
I mean,
right amount, right way.
I mean, okay, so I'm going to name a brand.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a lot of people have the Phoenix R200,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of people have them,
mm-hmm.
and there is a bypass flap, and everybody knows. I mean, I'm here preaching, to a WRT guy. The optimum operating range of the dehumidifier is 70 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, if you're over 90 degrees, it doesn't matter what you do, it's working inefficiently. Mm-hmm. But everybody thinks because the room is 95 degrees that it's great. Well, if you have one that has a bypass flap, and all of these manufacturers, they have videos
mm-hmm.
that are out there that will tell you how to clean them and how to. But the only thing, and I actually wrote an article that was in Clean Facts a couple of years ago, and the title of it was the money button problem. Because most restoration people look at is that button right there is a broken ATM. So if they would actually learn, and it goes all the way down to how to actually extract water out of carpet. Mm-hmm. Because I see so many people, and I'll put a wand in their hand, and when there's commercial, carpet, I'm like, show me how you extract, and that wand's going boom, 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 boom. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how do you stop that? And they're like, what? So in my opinion, one of the best things that they can take from a class is actually how to use it and other tools to go out there to figure out how to do it right.
Yeah, love it. Let's talk about IICRC again for a moment. As we look to the future, we talked about the past a little bit, how it's helped us to shape this industry with standards that everyone is viewed. Insurance companies, third-party administrators, contractors alike view this as the touchstone, the S500. But moving forward into the future, where do you see IICRC in the development of the future of the restoration industry? Because there's a lot of things on the horizon that we see changing the way we do business to an extent, but this happened forever. How does IICRC continue to stay there with the contractor base?
Well, one of those things is the continuing development of new standards. And obviously, you probably know about the 700 that just came out.
And for the viewers, what is the 700?
The 700 is the standard for cleaning up fire and smoke. Yep. And then there's the 900 that is in the process, and there's the 320. Mm-hmm. So we're constantly looking for other subject matters that would need a standard. I know a lot of people go, well, you guys just make up too many standards. Mm-hmm. Well, the whole point of what people don't realize when it comes to standards is to reduce redundancy and make sure you don't make mistakes. I know I'm quoting the opening IICRC video, but I think probably in the government advocacy that we have going on, a lot of people are starting to learn about Robbie, and they don't know that the government stuff is going to happen, whether or not we know about it, because just like in the state of Virginia, July 1 of last year, they passed bilateral with unanimous decision on that you have to have certification to do mold remediation. Now that language got rewritten because there was some unhappiness, and I understand that, but the law is still there. So we're actually working on making sure that we're representing the industry by making sure that our standards, which, and really and truly, Jeremy, a lot of people think that standards are there just to protect the contractor. It's for everybody, and it's also there for the homeowner and our clients. So we're trying to make sure that everybody, if there's going to be a law, that the IICRC is there. And then we can, as Mr. Cross says, be the shield in a lot of ways. But there's a lot of things that we have in in progress. Some I can't talk about, some I can. But in my opinion, the two biggest things is continuing to find new avenues that we need to have standards for, and the government advocacy that we're heavily involved in.
Yeah. In the absence of a standard, you can just imagine there's nowhere that says right, wrong. How do we get? And if we think about it just strictly from a business standpoint, which frankly, there's no money, we're not doing this.
Correct.
But with the absence of a standard, how do you make that a business? Very difficult. I would also add to that you mentioned Robbie.
Yes.
Robbie is the IICRC government advocate, he's an advocate for our industry,
right,
in Washington.
Correct.
So basically working with government to support the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an excellent addition there to what IICRC does. Now, you mentioned you can't tell us everything, but is there anything exciting going on at IICRC that you can let us know about? That you can let us know about? Or if you want to give us something that you're not supposed to tell us, we'll take that too.
Well, then they'd kill me. See, if I tell you something,
that is quite the organization.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We have mafia connections. Well, I mean, other than what I already kind of mentioned, one of the things that, gosh, I would love if people would take advantage of is the stuff that we're constantly working for certified firms. A lot of people don't even know that because of being certified firm that now there is a discount for insurance policies. And literally for the first time in a long time, I actually have health insurance for my staff because they look at certified firms as one entity. And so therefore they have a much bigger shopping power for that. And then there's job forums and Profile Gorilla, and just people don't bother looking. And I know that's where people say, well, you guys aren't telling us. Well, a lot of our emails go to spam, and a lot of our emails go click, to the delete box. But there's just a lot of benefits that we're trying to present for certified firms.
If you're a company thinking about becoming a certified firm, is there a place where we can go and see some of these benefits?
It's a great question, Jeremy. As far as actually being able to see a list of the benefits, I am not sure. Okay. But if you were to go to IICRC.org, there is you go down to the pull-down menu, there is a place that has an application for certified firm. It is extremely more streamlined than it used to be, but I've been a certified firm for a while, so I'll have to check on that one.
Well,
I can get an answer for you.
I stumped him. All right, awesome. That was the whole goal of this, but no.
Great job. You stumped me. All right.
Well, anyway, certified firm. If you're not a certified firm, you're wondering. I think it's a great value for restoration contractors, and I'm sure if you contact IICRC, they'll get you an email out. But take a look at that. And in addition, it's a great way to set your company apart as a certified firm. I think about, we were talking about this. If you're getting your vehicle fixed and there's a certified mechanic, like a Honda certified mechanic, gonna be paid more, gonna be perceived as a more valuable or more skilled technician. Or you buying a car that's certified pre-owned, you're gonna pay more for it and be glad to because you feel like you got a great value on it.
Right.
We need to be doing the same thing with our companies. A lot of times people are like, well, why isn't IICRC pushing that out? Why aren't they it's so hard to have a big enough voice, but as restoration contractors, we have the ability to push that message out there and get people asking for it. That's how you happen to know that there's a certified mechanic available.
Well, and Jeremy, if I could throw out a point, I hear people, I don't know, I'm sure you hear the same comment. I've never had anybody ask for my IICRC card. Yeah. I don't wait for people to ask to see my IICRC card. I put it in front of them. So it's no different than any other organization that you join. If you don't market it and you don't show up and you don't participate, then you're right. You're going to get nothing out of it except for a sticker on the side of your van.
I don't want people to ask me for it because if they're asking me for it, that means that I haven't given them the notice that we are certified. Yeah. So it should be the opposite. Correct. We should be telling people, well, you need to be using a certified firm and certified technicians. So we're providing it. They're going to recognize the benefit. It really doesn't take a lot. People are just like, oh, I didn't know that existed. That's on us. That's on us. So, we've enjoyed having you here with us, Mark. Thank you so much for the insight. Now, for those who want to connect with you and learn more about Emergency Mitigation Technician Academy, how do they find you?
It's very simple. Our website is trainemta.com, and you can find out tons about us there. I'm also all over social media.
Yeah.
So just come look us up, or you can always email me too. Mark@trainemta.com.
There you go. Wow. I wouldn't give my email out. Thank you, Mark. That's really valuable.
And every one of my students has my cell phone number.
That's amazing. Well, take advantage of that opportunity, because you guys do a ton of classes that we don't do. Plus, you're all over the country. We don't have those in-person classes all around the country like you guys do. So fantastic. We appreciate that. Well, thank you very much, Mark, and thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you again on the next podcast.
So long, everybody. It's been great. Jeremy, thank you much.
All right, thanks.